So you hear that processed food is bad for you, but do you really know why? In this episode, I share with you 7 critical reasons why you should stay away from processed food. So the next time that you grab that hamburger helper or that burrito, you know exactly what is going on in your body. I'm Dr. Jake. I'm a naturopathic medical doctor and integrative physician. And in this channel, I share with you how you can heal your body down to the root causes without any harmful drugs or surgery. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. Okay, let's jump in. So yeah, let's talk about the first reason that I came up with why is processed food bad for you. And the first one is it's high in sugar. Almost all processed foods you look in there is they're going to add a ton of sugar in there. And why is sugar bad? Especially refined sugar. It's not just sugar, it's refined sugar in there. Sugar is very pro-inflammatory. Obviously, just increasing your blood sugar causes more inflammation, and also this inflammation causes trauma to our body, causes damage to our blood vessels, increasing the risk of heart attack and stroke, increasing your risk of autoimmune conditions, so inflammation in your joints or in your lungs or in your liver or in your kidneys, etc. Just make your immune system attack there. It also is horrible for your gut, so it's going to damage your gut, cause inflammation there, cause a lot of mucus production inside there, cause poor nutrient absorption to happen. So you could be eating all these healthy foods, but if you're eating a lot of processed foods too, you're not going to absorb all those goodies that are coming in from the good foods that you're actually eating. Processed foods really don't have much nutritional value at all. So we don't want it because it's going to cause inflammation. It's going to lead to insulin resistance over time, which is then going to lead to diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and it's going to lead to all kinds of chronic issues. So we don't want to always get high amounts of sugar in our diet. So limit the processed foods for that reason. Now let's talk about the second reason. Okay, refined sugar, but it's high in refined salt. We don't want to get tons of refined salt. I'm okay with people getting a lot of unrefined salt, which has all the minerals and elements and all that type of stuff. But when you refine it, you're just getting sodium chloride. So it's going to really mess up how your fluid dynamics work inside your cells. So it's not going to make everything work appropriately. And it's going to lead over time depleting yourself of essential other electrolytes like potassium and magnesium because you have too much sodium chloride. So when I say appropriate fluid dynamics, how our nervous system works, that's how I'm actually talking right now. It's how I'm moving my arms. It's how I'm doing everything is dependent upon that. Every cell needs that appropriate transfer of your electrolytes in and out to actually function appropriately. So we're talking about nervous signaling. We talk about detoxification. We're talking about appropriate digestion. It's all dependent upon that. So if you're getting way too much salt, you're going to mess with all that. And also, the research that we see actually causing hypertension is related to refined salt, not unrefined salt. Even though it's way too overblown that salt is going to cause hypertension, even because it's only about 5% of people actually have salt sensitivity, but still it's going to cause all kinds of other problems. And also refined salt is going to lead to a chronic inflammatory cascade. So you're getting an idea. We eat processed food, it's going to put us in an inflammatory state. So let's talk about another thing why high processed foods are bad for you. And it is because it has tons of bad fatty acids. So I love fatty acids. Fat is good, but not all fat is good. You have to eat the right fat. And processed food doesn't have the right fat in it. It has a lot of poor quality saturated fats. It's high in GMO canola oil. It's high in safflower oil. It's high in vegetable oil. These are all oils that are really high in omega 6s. And many times they're in forms that are more rancid that are going to produce all kinds of these reactive oxygen species. We talk about what's great about antioxidants, right? Is to help decrease reactive oxygen species. But if you're eating all these bad fatty acids, it's going to greatly increase this reactive oxygen species cascade that's happening in your body, which is the main cause of chronic illness. It's what causes cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes. It's what causes diabetes, autoimmune diseases, cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, on and on. Is all related to reactive oxygen species. And that's why all of us want to get all these antioxidants to prevent these chronic illnesses. So these are reactive oxygen species are these oxidated states of molecules. And these can cause damage to all your cells throughout the body. So it will cause damage to your brain cell, it could cause damage to your heart cell, cause damage to your liver cell, and that leads to disease. So it's just these oxidative states. And when we take antioxidant, it takes it more into its reduced state, which makes it not harmful to the body. in chemistry, we have a lot of oxygen molecules around a lot of different things. So you're going to lose or gain an electron, and that's going to be a more oxidative or reduced state. If you get oxygen, you're going to get reactive oxygen species. But if you get too much oxygen, like let's say you do hyperbaric oxygen and you don't do it right, and you get way too much, you can make reactive oxygen species from oxygen. But you just got to get the right amount of oxygen. And when you're doing hyperbarics, you got to do it through someone that knows what they're doing, because hyperbarics is awesome. And I do it all the time. Highly effective treatment. But if you don't do it appropriately, it can make reactive oxygen species and actually damage someone. But you're not going to get enough reactive antioxidants in your diet if you're eating a lot of processed food, because you're getting all these bad fatty acids coming in there, which then are going to cause inflammation in a different way than the other ones we're talking about. It's going to cause this inflammatory fatty acid to form around your cell membranes, which is all made of fat, right? It's a phospholipid, and that's going to affect how your cells communicate. And this is over time going to lead to what we hate, type 2 diabetes, decreased insulin sensitivity, is from these poor fatty acids coming into your diet. Number 4 reason, and maybe the most important one of them all, is it's high in tons of chemicals. It's high in artificial food coloring, which this is a big cause of super hyperactivated states in your brain. So a big cause of anxiety or ADHD, because it causes this excitatory state in your brain, and your brain just keeps on firing because it's always getting these excitatory food colorings. Also, it's really high in MSG, monosodium glutamate. Glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter. Our brain naturally makes that. But if you get a lot of that, it's going to put your body in an excitatory state also. So it's going to lead to same things, ADD, ADHD, sleep disorders, all related to that. And then it has all kinds of preservatives, which is bad for your body because your body's not able to eliminate it very well, and it bogs down your liver, and it bogs down your ability to detoxify other things that are coming into your body. And it causes damage to all your cell membranes, which then leads to chronic disease over time. It's not immediate. You eat these preserved foods, it's not like you're going to be bad immediately. It's going to take time, but it's going to cause this chronic damage throughout your body with these preservatives, these artificial food dyes, or artificial sugars that is put in a lot of foods too. So they might not be high in sugar, but they might be high in artificial sweeteners, which are just as bad, if not worse, than these refined sugars out there, because you've got aspartame, which has research on it possibly cause cancer. Also, a lot of research on it causing this chronic inflammatory state in the brain, and it damages your gut and make you not absorb nutrients. So there's a lot of problems with processed foods because it has so many chemicals in it. And we didn't even dive into them. I mean, we have emulsifiers, we have gumming agents, carrageenan and xanthogum, and all this stuff that just wreaks havoc on your gut and how your body works. The 5th reason why processed food is bad for you is that it is not always, but many times packed with GMOs, genetically modified organisms, which is many times corn and soy. If you look a lot at these processed foods, soy lecithin, for example, is an emulsifier. So that gives things a much better texture. It feels better in your mouth. You like it. So a lot of these processed foods have all these chemicals in it for you just to love it and enjoy it, and actually make you even more addicted to a food because of that. But you have soy lecithin in there, and then you have corn, which is 95% of corn that you get out there is GMO. Same with soy. I'm not anti-corn, I'm not anti-soy, but majority of these foods are GMO. So you need to try to get these non-GMO, because they're going to add that. Cornstarch is added all the time in processed foods. So what's the problem with genetic modified foods is your body hasn't seen that food. It was chemically made. It wasn't created by God, right? It was made by man. And these foods, our body sees as foreign molecules, and our immune system could start cross-reacting with that. And what happens with that, then you put your body in this chronic inflammatory cascade, which then many times can lead to autoimmune diseases for a lot of people. But some people might not be prone to the autoimmune condition. They might get some other condition. They might get cardiovascular disease that is so common, or they might get a liver disease that doesn't work very well, or their kidneys might start shutting down. So there's a lot of things that happen with this chronic inflammatory cascade. And I know I talk about this chronic inflammation about processed foods a lot, but that's the big reason why they're so bad for you, is because they cause inflammation in so many different ways. And that chronic inflammatory response is the cause of so many aging diseases or degenerative diseases or just chronic illness that we deal with in our society. So let's talk about the sixth reason why we don't want to eat processed foods is they're almost always low in fiber. Why do we care about fiber? Fiber is needed for us to have appropriate peristalsis. That's a fancy way of saying squeezing of our gut to get all that stuff from the food that we don't need to be eliminated. All right. And also through our stool is we're eliminating all kinds of toxins. So if you don't have enough fiber, you're not going to be able to eliminate as many toxins. Also, fiber binds to these toxins and prevents them from reabsorbing it throughout your body. So we need fiber for that reason. We need fiber to feed our good bacteria. Good bacteria is what makes our gut work appropriately. It decreases inflammation, it helps heal and regenerate the gut lining, helps decrease food sensitivities. There's so many benefits that come from appropriate gut microbiome. It's even related that we've seen an inappropriate microbiome could lead to you being overweight, and you do everything you can, and it's just related to your bad microbiome. And fiber is needed for us to make a good microbiome and have the appropriate bugs in there. So it's very important. It's also important because you don't want these big spikes of insulin, right? So if you don't have a lot of fiber, let's say the processed food's high in sugar, then it's low in fiber. So you're going to get these huge spikes of insulin, and insulin then shoves all that sugar inside your cells. You're not really using it for your energy processes. This goes into cells. You have way too much in there, and that causes you to be hungry really quick too. You get hungry really quick because you're like, oh, my blood sugar's low again because you had this big insulin spike. And then that's going to cause your cells not to use it. And then that's going to be stored. And what storage is fat. So fiber is extremely important. Real food has fiber, like our fruits and vegetables and whole grains, all have great fiber in there, but processed foods don't. So the seventh reason processed foods are bad for us is that it is low in nutrients. Don't we eat for nutrients? I think that's the main reason why. Maybe we eat because it just tastes good. Maybe we eat just because we need calories, but I think most of us really want good fuel, right? But when we eat processed foods, what it is calories and chemicals. So it will make you feel full. It will maybe not make you feel lightheaded because your blood sugar is getting low, because you're going to get those calories in. You're going to get the sugar. You're going to get the bad fatty acids coming in there, but you're not going to get good nutrients. And why do we need nutrients? It's that's how every tiny little cell in our body actually works appropriately. It just doesn't need carbohydrate and fat and protein. It needs nutrients to be able to make energy appropriately inside the mitochondria. You're going to be tired all the time and not function very well if you don't have appropriate nutrients in your body, because you're not going to be able to make ATP appropriately through the mitochondria. And also, all your cells aren't going to work well. So you're going to be brain fogged. You're not going to have good brain power. Your gut's going to start slowing down. And you're going to get constipated, on and on and on. So many things are going to happen when you get nutrient depleted. What is too much processed food, or how much processed food should you be eating? This depends on what you want to do for your health. If you want to be optimally healthy, I would try to stay away from it completely, or maybe just eat it here and there, maybe once a week or 2 times a week max. But if you want to be optimally healthy, I would just not really have it at all. That cannot be necessarily all realistic in the society that we live in now. So having it 1 or 2 times a week in small amounts is probably reasonable. Eating it a lot, going to make you really sick, and you're going to have some major problems in the future if you keep on eating a ton of processed foods. And you're going to be able to list all the reasons why that we just barely talked about. So I would really say try your best to stay away from processed food and eat real food. If it comes from the box, probably not the healthiest thing, even if it is a natural food. I think that's an important thing that we didn't bring up too, is there's natural foods out there that are highly processed, right? They're maybe better processed. They have maybe more nutrients in there, and not as many chemicals, but they still are processed and not as good as a real apple, not as good as a broccoli. And there's a lot of things added to there. So we really just need to limit it. And moderation is different for everyone, right? It becomes easier and easier to stay away from processed foods. You just slowly take it out of your diet. And then you get to a place that it's very easy to stay away from processed foods and you don't really care for it anymore. But to go away from it when you're eating a lot of processed foods, probably really difficult for most people. But it could take maybe a year or so to totally get off of it. And you're like, well, I don't really care anymore. If you want to learn more about healthy eating, click my video to the right. I'm Dr. Jake, and I'll see you there.